Hello, my name is Red, or Josh. I am the texture artist for Miner's Abyss by Voba. I create every single icon in the game, and today I'm going to make a tutorial on how you can make one of these icons. So the way I like to do this is first starting out with, first, this is the size I use. These ores are 24 by 24 pixels, and these icons are 12 by 12, half the size of this. So here's how I go about doing this. So first I create a new document, and here I have AM ore. And this is my, I've already set this all up. So I go and saved. So I've got it set resolution 512. This is important for later. Pixels per centimeter. This makes it super good looking, and you'd be surprised how small the file size is. The width is 24 by 24 pixels. This is important. Make note of all this. Also, make sure the background content is transparent. Otherwise, your background will be kind of interesting looking. So, let's make an ore. And then you can do Control 0 in order to make it full screen. And I used a pencil tool. This is the best tool to use for this kind of stuff. So here's something that isn't added into any version of Azure Mines that I've seen so far. I'll make lapis. So first, I like to look up an image of get something. It looks like this. Ignore Minecraft. This is just kind of. It's got this kind of whitish and bluish mix. So here's what I do. First, I start by drawing some random patterns. I would expect it to look like, it's kind of weird. So I think I'll make a little bit of that. And some of that. Alright, there we go. There's a little something. Also, I might want to change where that is. I'll make it about centered. Centered as possible. Maybe I'll put a little more on the bottom here to make it a little more, centered. And maybe make this a little bigger. I want to make sure all these are more than just a single pixel because there's a lot of white bits in this. So there we go. There is that. Then I like to make a duplicate, not a new layer. I like to make a duplicate layer, and I call these layer 1 overlay. It doesn't matter what you call it. I just like to call it overlay. Then I like to group these. You don't really have to group them, but it keeps everything nice and organized. So then I go to filter, noise, add noise. Make sure you go through those menus because for whatever reason the hotkey doesn't bring up this menu. It just automatically does it. So this has a lot of white bits, so I'd say it's kind of really rough. Not because of its texture. I think this looks way better for this. Alright, and then you can try different lighting effects like this, then different opacities. I think that's good. Alright, now I want to make a new layer for, I'm going to do some white or maybe gray bits kind of scattered around in here. Alright, there we go. Now I like to, let's pick something here. I'd say lighter color, and then about that bright. You can still see some detail, but it's not too dramatic. Actually, maybe Maybe this part is a bit dramatic. You can do some reshaping if you wish to. I think that looks pretty wholesome. There we go. Alright, let's try some other, maybe even normal might work here as well. That makes it too blue. So I'm going to go with lighten. This seems to work very well. I can have it on 100%. You can tell that it's white, but you can also see some detail. Now for something like this, I'd probably go into, I'd probably duplicate this layer as well. I'd probably duplicate it and call it overlay again. That's just what I will like to call it. Again, you can name it anything. So then you select it, filter, noise, add noise. This, I think, Gaussian would look a little better. Oh, that's strange. Why is this black? Ah, I think I know why. Normal. Alright, that looks pretty wholesome, I'd say. Alright, there we go. I think that's good. So now to make the ores the ultra high quality that you say, I actually have to do some. I made a mistake on all of these ores. I have to go into image size, and I have to make sure this is on nearest neighbor. This is for hard edges of pixels. Then I'm going to resize it to 512. But for you, you do not want to resize it to 512. You want to make it a multiple of 24. So you want to do 24 times something, and you'll get something around 512, but not 512. This sets some of the pixels going across each other. Not very noticeable at all, but bit mistake I made. So for you, I'd say 24 times 7 times 12, 21, 22. Yeah, go 22. 22 is a good option. But I have to use 512 because that's the format of every other ore I used. So, oops. Mistakes happen. So now you press OK, and you'll get this big hecking ore, big chungus right here. It appears a bit blurry. That's a little interesting. It's because it's too high resolution. Alright, so now there's an ore. Now here's where the fun part begins. This is what I do on essentially every ore. So I go in Effects, and I go for Outer Glow. This is what gives it that kind of Azure Mines looking thing. This, I'm going to go with a very deep blue, and you'll immediately see that's working. I don't want to make it too purple, though. Maybe about that. Spread down a little, because it's super close to edges, and I don't want it to have glow and then it just cuts off. That's kind of annoying. Experiment with different colors, different opacities. I think that's pretty wholesome. Alright, next I'm going to again use a outer glow on these, and I'm going to make this one really light. This I'm going to have to do a lot of adjusting for, but just doing that gives it kind of this super the light, it makes it look like light is refracting off of different edges, and it's only a few pixels. So that's pretty good, I would say. So I think that is done. That is an ore. Next, you have to make the icon, obviously. So this one, I use 12 by 12. That's just this, but divided by 2. Alright. Also make sure to save document. So I call this lapis ore. There we go. There's our lapis. Alright, and now we're going to make the icon. This one's going to be the same kind of blue. This one, I'm going to make sure it's on erase. I'd say go 12 by 12. Yeah, of course. I don't think that's very good. Let me try a different shape. I think that's not good either. I think that's good. Maybe a little refinement on here. That's pretty good. Alright, so I think this one I can get away with just filter without any extra layers at all. This one's better uniform. Alright, there we go. There's some texture already automatically. Alright, now the white bits, these are kind of everywhere. There we go. Lighten. Lower the opacity a little. That looks pretty good. And for these ones, I don't usually... I'd like to make a new layer and make some shading. So this would be like hard light would look good. Yeah, let's make sure to use hard light. And set its opacity down a little, just to make it blend nice. Maybe even put a little darker. Just give it a little more, depth. Maybe even here I can make it slightly lighter. Maybe here and here I can make it a little lighter. And that makes a nice blend. That's pretty nice. So I'd group these, and I wouldn't group this because it's kind of by itself. I could group this. That seems a little unnecessary though. So for these, I have actually correctly sized these on the. I don't have 24 different incorrectly sized icons, only ores. So this one, here's my recommendation. I'd do 288. Make sure to use nearest neighbor. That's extremely important. All right. There we go. All right. So this one I'd also like to do glow on. So FX, outer glow. Oh, and if you're getting annoyed with doing this every time, I'm just going to watch this. This is pretty good. So I'm just going to make this super noticeable really quick. So let's say you don't want to do this every time, because I can see why you wouldn't. So you can copy layer style, and then you can go to this and paste layer style, and you'll see, oh, there's some here where I put this shading. Also, this copies all stats of a layer. So that means any effects you put on it, like this, that means the type of layer it is, like fill, every one of these carries over as well. So now let's change the outer glow to a wholesome blue. That looks pretty wholesome. Because this isn't really a gemstone necessarily, I'll make it kind of really dim. And okay, there we go. There's an icon. Ore and icon. I like to go for realism, so this is kind of how you might see it if you were in a mine. This is, if you broke a chunk off, this is kind of what you'd get, or refined it, something like this. So then, once you're done with this, so of course, save it. These ones are, I like to name the ore lapis icon. That just makes it super simple to understand. So now I can go to File, Export, and Export As. If you're using an ore and you don't want to add any glow to it, and you just kind of want the ore, like, let's say you do an icon, that would make more sense for an icon. These you'd usually want to add the outer glow, like all ores. Yeah, see right here. This is why it's important to do a multiple of 24. That's why. So for these, I'd definitely do 512 by 5. Well, not 512, multiple of 24. But for these, I would size it up by a lot. Pretty bigger. Very big. Much chungus, you know. So these are my settings. I like to use resample nearest neighbor because it's pixel art. Let me just go 100%. That looks pretty good. Alright, so now I can export this, and this is where all of the icons that I have are. So I like to go to Azure Mines Assets, and this is, now I actually have, this is my first modded one. So I do new folder and new folder, ores, and of course one for icons, and just in case, other. So this is an ore and the lapis ore. Save. There we go. There's a lapis ore and lapis icon. So for these, if you don't want to add glow, this is important to know. You don't have to size it up to 288. You can just go to export as, and let's just pretend this is 12 by 12. You can just this is 12 by 12. You can scale it up from here to 288, and it'll look super blurry here, but that's what this is for. This resamples it, of course, with hard edges, to make it look exactly like this. These nice kind of sharper edges, no extreme blur so you can't tell what it is. It should look like this. And this looks a little blurry, but that's fine. It's going to be like that big at the most, so you really won't tell. So now I can export this. I can go in here, export, and now I can go to AM Assets. So now I can go into my folders, and I can go to new ores. There's lapis. There's lapis again. So that's how you make an ore and an icon, or anything pixel related in general. So if you do find this tutorial helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe, and you'll get some more content in your feed from me, the meme guy. Thanks for watching, and bye.